Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of But Am I Wrong? Starring two people who, check my watch, still have never been wrong.
It's Skin 30.
It is Skin 30, unless you're, and that's if you're on the Patreon. If you are listening, my whole boob is out and you should subscribe to our Patreon so you can see it.
I mean, that wasn't alive last week.
Was my tit out the whole time?
Yes, and I told you.
Oh.
And then you fixed it, and then it fell out again.
Okay.
But you were like, I'm fine with it being out.
Yeah, it's behind a paywall. I'm cheap, $1.
But it's also like you had on a little bra thingy. So it wasn't like a tit.
Yeah. I think, honestly, at this point, I should do a poll. How many people who follow me on the internet have seen one part or multiple parts of me nude? Because, like, I've had a lot of accidental slips in videos. Like, it got to the point where people stopped telling me. And then I would check and I would go, oh my God, no one told me. They're like, I thought you knew. Or if you saw my Just Jared photos on Just Jared Jr. on the, I know, Just
What
Jared
is
Jr.
that?
leaked my nudes.
What is Junior?
You don't know what Just Jared is?
I know what Just Jared is,
Well,
but
Just
what's
Jared-
Jared Junior?
It's for the teeny boppers.
That's disgusting.
What do you mean? What's
They're
just,
putting up naked pictures
No.
for teenagers.
you have to let me finish the joke. She's like, you're ready to cancel Just Jared Jr. No, I was at Comic-Con and it was flash photography and I had no idea that my dress was see-through. And so I'm standing in the middle of like all the boys. It's like me, Melvin, and Leo, and Liza and Hayes. And I'm sitting there in the middle, flash photography, and it's just like fucking nipples and like areola, full titty shape, like outline of every part of me, and like vagina and like thighs. And it's all of that. And I saw like at the end of like every day when you're on a press tour or doing press for anything, your publicist will send you all of like the things that have gone up that will do like an end of day recap. And so we had like our own individual publicist who would do that, but we also had like Hulu's network publicist who would send us one on a whole group thing. So it's a message with all of us on it, an email, and I open it. And it's the first thing I fucking see is that. And I like turned to the guys and I was like, oh my God, look, like it's totally see-through. And they're like, yeah. Like,
We thought that's what you're doing.
you knew that? And they were like, yeah, I just thought, I don't know. I thought it was like the vibe. Like, it's very you. Like, I thought you knew. I was like, you let me walk around all day, interviews, Comic-Con, flash photography. You let me stand in the fucking middle, arms behind both of your backs, just like fully like starfish spread for this. And they were like, oh, I thought it was a point. And then Just Jared Jr. had posted those photos. And I was like, those are my nudes.
Wow. I didn't know this.
Yeah, I'll
Look
find
at
it.
that. Learned something new.
How about I find them while you introduce what the show is?
Welcome to But Am I Wrong? A podcast by two people who are never wrong. You're probably wondering, what is this show about? We have 3 different segments. The first one is But Am I Wrong? And that's where we pick different things from our lives. It could be a hot take. It could be something that happened personally. Then we choose if we're wrong or not. And then y'all can write in and present things for us to judge. And then the final segment is, but are they wrong? And that's where we pick somebody from pop culture, politics, anything that's in the real world. And we nominate the woe of the week, Rachel of the week, the wrong of the week. And then the best part is that we have participation. So on Fridays, we have an episode called Fisting Fridays where we, y'all can vote on our Instagram and then we'll read the results on Fisting Friday.
You did a great job.
Thank you. So shall we start?
We shall. Okay, so for my But Am I Wrong, I have a hot take that I don't even honestly have like that much to say about this. I'm like mostly just like really curious what other people think, and I'm curious what you think. And I think this will spark an interesting conversation.
Okay.
I think there's a difference between being kind and being nice. And I think being kind is better.
Okay.
I think that you can be kind and still be like a bitch. I think I am a bitch, but I think I am kind. But I think nice people can actually be like shitty people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you agree with this?
Yes, 100%. Remember that girl I was telling you about on my cheer squad that was
Exactly
a nice person, but she was a cunt.
I have like very strong feelings about this of like, I think being kind is being nice with intention and being nice when it counts and when it matters. I think being nice, quote unquote, there's not usually much like no thoughts, just vibes behind it. And it's so much more about your perception. Cause like when you refer to yourself or you refer to other people, like being nice, like, oh, I want people to think I'm nice. I want people to think I'm nice. Like that's so much more about how other people perceive you versus like, you don't ever think like, I want people to think I'm kind. But when you think of someone else who is like a really kind person, that's how you would describe them.
Because I think I'm kind, but I don't think I'm nice.
I think I'm the exact same way. And I think like, you know, some have called us rough around the edges, but I think that like.
Who called us that?
I don't know. Maybe they use a different one, but something along the line. There was some descriptor of like a catchphrase, some sort of phrase that someone in a review forever ago about like, and it was a compliment. It was something of like how we give advice.
I don't think it was rough around the edges because I do not take kindly to that.
It was something else. Maybe it was like, is there a bigger phrase with sugarcoat?
Probably.
It was something that I was like, I've heard this before. This is on a tea towel in Home Goods somewhere. And I think that like the desire that people have to be perceived as nice, like actually prevents you from being kind because it doesn't come from a genuine place. And I also think that like, that's what like how the discourse of like really fucking chronically online interactions and conversations happen when people. I was reading like this subreddit thread about like someone talking about some like influencer that they met or whatever. Or it was like, no, someone was talking about how some influencer had responded to someone's comment on like their TikTok. And like a comment was like, that bag doesn't go with the outfit. And they responded being like, it goes. Like, I think it goes. And like, how could that person be like so rude back? And I'm like, whoa, that's so weird. Like, and then someone else commented on it and said like, oh, I've like met her and like she's really nice and like she was like really, really kind. Like, and they're like, I don't buy that. Look how she responds to people in her comments. And I'm like, so you as a perception are valuing someone that you want to be like nice. And it's usually in the over the top and not in a balanced way. Like it needs to be one side is overwhelmingly and honestly like weirdly nice to something that isn't nice in the first place. You would rather that, and you would rather like believe someone's true person and intentions on that versus someone who's like, oh, I've had a conversation with them. They're really kind. I just think it's very interesting. And I would love to know what our audience, what everyone, all of you listening, do you think there's a difference between kind and nice? Do you agree with me? Am I wrong in thinking that there is a large difference between being kind and being nice? And it is better to be kind than to be nice.
Yep.
Food for thought. I've said that 3 times today.
Juicy.
Okay.
Succulent.
I'll never say it again.
Savory. Sweet.
Salty. Umami.
I said savory.
Acid. Acidic. Acid.
Fire. Acid. What was the name of the?
Salt, fat, acid, heat.
Yeah. Okay. Mine is a hot take as well. I've wanted to speak on this for a while, but I wasn't sure how to approach it. And so I was inspired by 2 things. One, there's, of course, a TikTok challenge, as there is, that inspires a lot of things that happen in my life. One of them is going around, which it seems to come back every few months, but people are posting like their age and being like, can't believe that I'm this age, or nobody ever knows my age. And then there's also like, I posted some old pictures the other day on Instagram, and one of our listeners of the show, who I adore.
They know who they are.
Yeah, they know who they are. They sent it. Who I adore, responded to my stories and was like, and they said, "You don't age at all." And it kind of made me feel weird. So I didn't like feel good about the liking it.
Yeah, enjoying that you personally read the comment, and you didn't like that they were giving it as a compliment, or you didn't like that you felt it like a compliment?
I didn't like that they were giving it as a compliment. Okay, so my but am I wrong is we need to stop judging people based on what age they look and how well, quote unquote, that they're aging, and comparing our ages and how we look physically to other people. We kind of have like a skewed view of how people should look at a certain age, because in media, a lot of times, like on TV, 16-year-olds are being played by 28-year-olds, and then people in their 20s are being played by people in their early to mid 30s, and then when you're in your mid 30s, they're playing like 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
So people don't have like a actual concept of how old people actually look, unless you're just like looking at your peers and stuff. And then also they're not taking into account makeup and then airbrushing and all the photoshopping that gets done. And also some people have access to cosmetic procedures as well. And so I, like, for one, have never really looked my age. When I was 16, people thought I was 12. When I was 25, I was literally walking in the airport and a woman thought that I was a child and came to help me with my luggage. And I was like, I'm going to my rental car. And like, for me, it's just like genetics. I don't do anything special. I, do basic skincare and that's it. And like when people say like, you don't look your age or you look younger, and I'm like, but like, I can physically see that I look older than I used to look. And I don't like it. And I don't like that people perceive people aging as kind of like a bad thing. And I don't like that.
Women aging.
And I'm fine with the way I look, but like, I know that I'm getting older and I can personally see it. And so I've seen people judge celebrities when they're like not all done up in their everyday looks, specifically women, and people comment on how bad they look or how they look like they're getting old. And it's like, no, you're just used to seeing a false image of them. And then there's, like I said, that trend that's on TikTok, and a lot of people are judging other people and like, no, you actually, like, somebody will post and be like, I'm 35, and they're like, you look 45, and like comparing themselves to other people, and like in essence saying that they make themselves seem like they're better because they look what some would perceive as younger. And so when people talk about if somebody's aging well, quote unquote, or aging good or aging gracefully, gracefully, that too. And it's like, we're not taking into people's genetics, into their life experiences, what trauma they've been through. I think about my friend in high school when we were 16. I remember seeing her at school one day, and then she came and visited me at my job on the weekend at the mall. And she looked like she had aged like 20 years, and we didn't know what had happened. And we found out a few weeks later that one of her organs had gone into failure.
Holy shit.
And so it's like, we're not considering like what other people are going through, or even let's say that it's just somebody that's just like really into surfing and they're out in the sun all day.
Yeah.
Like, people just have different things that they go through. And so I just think that we should just stop like judging people or saying that people aren't aging well, and that we're all aging every day, and the physical manifestation of that shouldn't be up for debate.
And aging is like a good thing. Like, a lot of people don't have like the luxury and the privilege to get older. Like a lot of people don't make it to their 30s. A lot of people don't make it to their 40s. I don't think you're wrong at all. I have been terrified of starting to get into my 30s, of being like, oh, I'm going to have that classic like actress like in Hollywood, like working in like entertainment for what you look like thing. I'm like, I am going to, like, it's impossible to not have that crisis, because like you are talked about in a way that's like your body and your face is not a part of you. Like, it's this separate thing. And like every time like I'll meet with casting directors or agents, it's like, oh, like before an audition of like, oh, we can't have her come in for this. Like, she looks too young for this, or we can't have her come in for this. She looks too old for this. And then I go in person, they're like, oh my gosh, you don't look old.
Right.
Like, oh, you could do this. Like, you could play. Like, oh, this is exciting. Like, because if you look young, that means there's more job opportunities for you. And so like, it becomes intrinsically tied with that. And like, I saw Jamie Lee Curtis did a video on a clip from her on Drew Barrymore's show where she like talked about that, about how her awareness of like being a woman in Hollywood, of like trying to look pretty, like just existing in life. And she's like, and I'm not like living my life when I'm trying to like look pretty. Like, I'm just so stiff and I'm just thinking about what I look like. And like, the most beautiful woman in the room is like someone who's just like having fun and like enjoying herself. So I mean, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think it's so hard for women because like we spend the first 21 years of our life trying to look older. And then we spend the next however long we have trying to look younger. Like, there's not any point where it's socially acceptable for a woman to look how she does in that time and not want for something or wish for something that has already happened or hasn't happened yet. Like, it's one of like the most glaringly obvious like examples of like the patriarchy and like feeding on women's insecurities. Like, it's so obvious. And like, I still so fell guilty into that when people are like, oh my gosh, you look exactly the same, you haven't aged, blah blah blah. And for me, it's not even and it doesn't make it any better. And for me, it's like, it's not about what I look like, because truthfully, if someone's like, oh my gosh, you look exactly the same as you did in high school, I go, I got a whole ass nose job and I look the same. And like, I don't want to look like I did in high school. Like, I like look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm really happy about the new ways I've changed about how I do my makeup, or if I get like a haircut or I do something, like I'm not longing for what I looked like when I was like 16. Like, I still look back on that and I can be like appreciative of who she was, but I'm like, don't love that hair choice. Like, you know what I mean? But like, the fact that it has become so tied to longevity in my career that becomes a compliment in itself. And I'm like, oh, so we couldn't just have the patriarchy, you had to tie capitalism into this. And it's like, oh, okay, wow. And it is fucked. I will say that TikTok trend, I saw someone make a funny video about like being like, I don't look my age. And she was like, to be fair, they could look older than their age or younger than their age. And they're making a video saying, I don't look my age. Like, that just means they don't look their age. And most people who are posting that, you're self-aware. A lot of people would never post that because they don't want to hear what people say. And most of the time, like, some people have always heard they looked older, or some people have always heard they look younger. And like, looking older, like, sure, wrinkles, like certain things we associate with like sun damage because you've been on this, like, on the earth for more days than other people. But also, like, it doesn't seem to apply to people who have always looked older than their age in just like their bone structure. And they might have like a very like, when you think of like a classic fit, you could throw them in a black and white movie and be like, oh, you totally fit into this. And to me, you seem like this person who like could have been through all of these eras. It is only ever used as a way to really make women very clear where they stand. Do you know what I mean? It's not just an observation. It's like a very poignant statement.
Yep.
Because my thing is, if I get the compliment and I don't like that I like it, but you being like, I don't like that you're giving it as a compliment, I don't like to hear that. That is my goal, to not like hearing it, you know? It also just might help me if like I put on a blazer and like you put me in like, I don't know, a lawyer outfit. If I didn't have casting directors saying, you look like a child playing dress up. Like, let me look older. I either need to look older or not look older. Do you know what I mean?
Again,
like,
with
believable.
that like child thing, it's like, to who? Because they've got people your age playing high school students. That's the thing.
It's honestly, it's 90% about body type. And like, I've been told I'm a little too tall to play like certain ages, even though I've been taller, but it's mostly just because men tend to be shorter.
Exactly.
But because I don't have boobs, if I got fake tits, I'd be fine. But it's because I don't have, and I've been told this by lots of, like, I don't have a quote unquote womanly body. I have more of a like young adult body.
Yeah, it's one of those superhero TV shows. I forgot which one it was, but my friend was telling me about how she was watching it and there was an actress in it that's a 30-year-old woman, but she doesn't have like she has small breasts, and she took off her shirt and it looked like prepubescent.
Yeah. And
the person who was telling me this is also an actress that has a smaller figure, and she's just like, I see why they say that, because it made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and a lot of like you'll see a lot of actors and actresses who like get fake boobs. Like a lot of like we think of the stereotype of people getting fake boobs when they turn 18 or like when they're becoming an adult. But like you'll see a lot of actresses who like by the time that like they're in their like late 30s, early 40s, they're gonna get a boob job because they're trying to match up. Because also even if you've been around for a certain period of time, then it feels like, well, you have to be older because I've seen you in so many things. Like I can't keep believing that you're this age. But yeah, the whole thing is like so skewed. And I'm really curious about the current generation, like Gen Z, but like mostly the older, or like not the older, the younger and like middle age of Gen Z. I'm really curious what their relationship to age will be like because they tend to like they started like wearing makeup more, and like trends have stopped being so like age range defined. Like the trends that like a lot of like people in their 30s are wearing are like very similar to ones that people who are like 11 years old are also wearing. And that did not used to be the case. So I'm really curious how they're going to view that when they've always been looking older and like been trying at a much younger age to look older.
Yeah. But then you look at like people from the 80s and they all look like in their 20s, look like they were 50.
Yeah. It's also just the amount of powder you throw on your face.
But I'm saying like the men too, they all look.
I know. Every time I even like look at like people will do like TikToks of like old yearbooks, and I'm like, those aren't children.
Yeah.
Those are like, and maybe it's like just like the style of photography and like it's not as high quality, so things look more like movie-ish, and so you think of older people. I don't know. Okay.
All right, let's take a break.
Woo!
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
And we are back from our break. Sorry, I thought I saw something. We have like 3 flies that won't die. I bought one of those electronic ones that makes a zapping when they die. And so now everywhere I go, I like flies. Are there any flies here?
Well, there is one.
So this is a fun thing that's about to happen. We are doing But Are You Wrong, where you submit your predicaments, your dilemmas, your situations to our email address, butamiwrongpod@gmail.com. Keep it under 300 words. Let us know your pronouns if you would like. If there are other people involved in what you're talking about, give us some pseudonyms. It's all anonymous, and you can include their ages, just as much information as possible, but under 300 words. And if you do a fantastic job, actually, you don't really get diamonds here.
No.
The bar is lower. I mean,
the standard is always high.
The standard is high, but the execution is, the median is raised.
I think because you're just writing it out as opposed to writing it out, then calling, you know?
So this is going to be fun because I forgot to pick one. So this is a cold read.
You're going in.
I'm raw dogging.
Very cold, chilly.
Dry. I'm going in fucking, I don't want it to be cold and dry. That's
dry ice.
Alarming. Okay. Hi, Meghan and Melissa. I'm inquiring about something which has been going on throughout my relationship with my boyfriend. So for context, my boyfriend is half Dutch and we live in the Netherlands. I've been here for a year. So we are in contact with this extended family quite a lot. I want to say they are great. However, they never really tried to talk to me and always seemed disappointed that I was not Dutch or spoke it fluently. The worst offender is his grandma, who refuses to speak to me on the principle that it will make me learn the language. This is not something new. She did it to my boyfriend's non-Dutch mother until she learned it. Regardless, the grandma does apparently appreciate my presence since she has invited me to all family events. But am I wrong to think this is very disrespectful? Am I wrong to be very annoyed by my parents telling me not to be bothered by this? Am I wrong for being bothered about my boyfriend's lack of response to this? I have been reeling about this for a year, so I would love to hear your opinion. Love the podcast. Best wishes. I maybe have a hot take, but I think if you are going to like a country with someone who speaks a different language in a country that is like predominantly speaks that language, and you have access and ability to pursue learning that language, whether that even without the intention of becoming fluent, but just like for your own convenience and everybody else's convenience, and even just for the cultural experience, I think like it's important, and it's also respectful. I don't know what language you speak. If you speak a language that they don't speak, like I'm curious, like is it that you speak English, they also speak English, and they speak Dutch?
I think a lot of people that speak Dutch also speak English.
They do speak they do speak English. And so I think that is a far worse offense than like, let's say you move to the Netherlands, you speak Portuguese, they speak Dutch, and they expect you to learn Dutch, but have not made any attempts to learn Portuguese, even if it's just some phrases or anything. Like, I think that would be really, really, really disrespectful on their part. On the opposite end, if it's English, I do think that is disrespectful on your part because it's a part of their culture. And like, that is something that like, you know, I think like, you know, they seem disappointed that you weren't Dutch. You know, that's not nice. That sucks. That doesn't feel great. But I think you live in a place, you live in the Netherlands, your boyfriend is half Dutch, his family all speaks Dutch. I don't think it's that maybe they don't like you because you don't speak Dutch. It's maybe that they don't feel like you care about his culture, or you care about wanting to communicate with them and respect their culture and their language.
That's what I think it is. Is that you said it, you've been together for years and you haven't made an effort to learn the language, and then they're probably, I don't know if you want to have kids, but they're thinking about their kids too, and then him having kids, and then like their culture continuing to be passed down, and then they don't want that to get lost. That's what I'm thinking. Like it's that they feel like you're being disrespectful to them.
Yeah, and I think like, you know, the grandma didn't speak to his mom until she learned how to speak Dutch. Like, abrasive, yes, but I think like I would probably talk to his mom about it and be like, I've been feeling like really uncomfortable and territorial about this, and that it's like something about me. Like, can you explain to me like why this is important? This is also like, it's a direct contrast too, because his mom is not Dutch and didn't speak Dutch, but is now fluent and speaks that. And so then the grandma and the family seeing like she loves her husband and really cared about him and made the point to respect his culture and where we live, and learned this because she really cares. And then you have you essentially in the same situation saying no. And that feels like the polar opposite. Like you don't care.
Right. Agree. How long have they been together?
They've been in the Netherlands for a year, but I've been reeling about this for a year. I think it seems like probably the last year.
Okay.
This has been. Because like, I just can't, I don't know. I also just like really, really, really can't imagine. Like I'll before going anywhere, I'm going to brush up on my Duolingo. Like I can't imagine moving to a country and knowing I'm going to be spending time, a significant amount of time with like my partner's family who speaks a different language, and not even like attempting to like it's just such a show of like respect and like care and
That's
love.
even like when you go visit another
That's what I
country, when
mean.
you make the effort to, like, you might go to a restaurant and you don't speak the language at all, but you might have a guidebook and you make the effort to order things in that language, then they respect you more, and then like they might realize that you speak English, and if they speak English, they'll switch over, but they have a respect for you for trying.
Because it's not like you're walking into somebody else's home and being like, fit around me.
Yep.
And it's like, well, you're a guest here. Like, this is like, other places don't need to do that. And it's, you know, I mean, a lot of companies when you move overseas, like, will make you take like language immersion class because it reflects poorly on you and like the individual and like the care that you feel towards the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think you're wrong.
All right. Next one.
Yes, sirree.
TLDR. Am I entitled to any part of the deposit? We're not lawyers, so just keep that in mind.
I mean,
me, they 30, newly divorced, new to city, desperate for housing. I like the way that you formatted this. Joanne, she 26, friend of about 6 months, also pretty new to the city. Michael, he 30 ? Joanne's partner of maybe 3 months ? Joanne spends all her time at Michael's, and I was having a hard time finding a place.
wait, can we pause? Did you
Joanne's
get the
and Michael's?
Yeah, I'm loving this.
I proposed the idea of splitting rent and sharing her apartment. This was before I realized how dirty the place was. This is not to shame anyone. I understand mental illness often gets in the way of keeping a tidy home. The place was filthy and infested with bugs. Cat poop and piss had been left on the floor. There was a hurricane last year that knocked out the power for a while, and Joanne's refrigerator had clearly not been cleaned out since before then. There were frozen bugs in her freezer.
I'd rather they be frozen.
It took me days to clean the place. I had to invest in a vacuum cleaner. She didn't have one, a dehumidifier, a purifier, a steam cleaner on top of other cleaning supplies and tools. Joanne just told me she's officially moving in with Michael and his roommate and will contribute to their rent at the end of November, leaving me to find a new place and move in a matter of weeks. When Joanne moves out, she might get her deposit back, but it would only be because of my hard work. Would I be wrong to ask her for part of the deposit? I know Joanne through a mutual friend, and I am not on the month-to-month lease. We've made no previous agreements on this. Thank you so much. Love the podcast and appreciate y'all. You're not entitled to anything because you weren't on the lease.
No, but you can trash the apartment so she can't get it back.
Yeah, but like you're staying there by yourself for half the price though, because she's paying the other half. So I think anything that you might have been able to get, she's paying half the rent for you to have a full apartment by yourself.
Did you pay the deposit?
No,
like she paid the deposit. That's
paid
her money.
Yeah, she paid the deposit. You're paying half the rent to stay at a place. You cleaned it up. Like, you didn't look at the place before you agreed to even live there. So that's on you. So just because you cleaned it up, that doesn't mean that you're entitled to anything.
No. And also, like, you also don't know that, like, she wouldn't have cleaned it to get her deposit back or hired someone to do that. Like, the way you should have gone about doing this is like, hey, this is like pretty unlivable. At this state, it's definitely not going to get you're not going to get the deposit back. Can you send me some money to cover for a cleaning service to come, or can you would you pay me to clean this up?
But even then, she's like,
she is entitled to say no.
Yeah, she's
totally
entitled to say
no.
No, but also again, you're living there for half the price.
Yeah, like, but that's the only way that like you could even try and approach it, by like being compensated for the work that you've done. You can't get compensated for something that someone didn't ask you to do, nor something that they didn't agree to pay you for.
Yep.
And like I think you're looking at the deposit right now not as like her money that she's going to get back. I think you're looking at it as like, this is money just sitting there, and she was never going to get it until I came, like get it back until I came along. And you just don't know that that's not the case. It's just highly unlikely. And it sucks that you had to do all that. But I think like at this point, the only thing you can do is being like, hey, I know that you put the money down for the security deposit and that's yours and all of that. Obviously, I don't expect to get any of that, but like you should at this point get all of your money back from that. I did invest in a good chunk of like cleaning supplies. Like it would be really great if you could maybe like toss me $100, like toss me something to like cover a little bit of that. And I'd also be happy to like leave you with some of these cleaning supplies that I had bought that you can bring over, like a vacuum there. Like if you want to do that, like I think that's totally fine.
I still think she's going to be like, well, you stayed at the place for half the price. So you're not entitled to that at all.
You're not entitled to literally anything. All you can do
is
ask.
But I really think she's just going to say, I don't know how much you're in. Let's say it was $500. You've been paying $250 to live here for months. So like that compensates for whatever that was.
Yeah, it will. I think it feels like a financial blow right now, but like the money was never yours. You didn't lose any money, and she gives you money and pays you back for some of this. Like it all evens out in the end. And like you got a great deal on a place by spending this money up front to like clean that. And like maybe you got to keep a lot of this stuff and like, or whatever, but it's just, if you want to be compensated for something, you need to have an agreement before you do the thing that you do the work you want to be paid for.
And also, like, if you have to move out in a few weeks, why could you not say to the landlords, like, hey, I'm interested in this property. Can I take over the lease?
Yeah, I'm sorry. This definitely, like, I would feel like annoyed as well, but I would feel annoyed with myself for being like, how did I walked into this and like I don't have any grounds to stand on, like, and I don't have any right to any of it. And you could be as bold as to ask for some of the deposit back, but like that, I really don't think she's going to give it to you. And I think if you come from that angle, that comes across just like really, really entitled. Again, it's just entitled to her money.
Right.
I don't know. I always think of security deposits like might not ever get it back. But then like my business manager's like, no, your security deposit, like, you shouldn't be making financial decisions based on like, oh, I need this money to close on a house, but like you're getting it all back. It's just, it can't be money that you need in a timely manner. But it's a part of her financial planning is the security deposit. So I apologize, but I think you're wrong. Okay, now let's pick another random one. I have no idea what it's about. Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I, 23, she, her, have two friends, Leslie, 22, she, her, and Marley, 23, she, her, who I met through a club on campus. Club. We had grown really close over the last few years. We'd talk almost every day, have sleepovers over the weekends, and even went on vacation together. Recently, Marley has started acting different towards us. She's lied to us and others about things that don't make sense to lie about, ignores our calls and texts, and has dropped out of the club. Leslie has tried reaching out a couple of times and asked what's going on, but Marley either ignores her or completely evades the question. I have yet to hear from her, but I've seen her around campus. During a conversation with another friend, I was told to try reaching out to her because Marley must be going through a rough time. Am I wrong for not reaching out and for being done with the friendship because of her actions and lack of communication? We both feel hurt, but Leslie has been more open about it and thinks I should try to be more sensitive since this is very sudden and out of character for Marley. But I really don't like the mistreatment and I don't see a point in reaching out when Marley clearly does not want to communicate with us. Thanks for any input you can give, and I love both your podcasts. Wow, this is the episode of me saying that I think you're wrong. I think if two people have said, hey, let's approach this with like some sympathy, they might be going through a hard time. You don't have to like how someone who's going through a hard time is treating you. And I think the only thing in that situation that like is like the best thing to do, not that you have to do it or you should do it, but I think like the kindest thing to do, even if you don't like how someone is treating you in a situation, but it is like very drastic and sudden, is to just reach out and just be like, hey, I miss talking to you. This feels really sudden. I just wanted to check in with you that you were doing, like, to see how you were doing. I'm here to talk. But if you're going through something emotionally, mental health wise, if you could shoot me a message and just let me know that and you want some space, that would be great. But if I don't hear from you after this, I'm just going to assume you don't want to be friends anymore. And I'm just going to step away. That's, I think, the kindest thing that you can do. It gives someone an opportunity to be like, you don't have to tell me everything you're going through. Just like blink once for yes, like twice for no. You know what I mean? Like, just let me know if that's what you're going through. And if that's the case, then I'm like, okay, cool. I will be here. If you need me, reach out to me. If you want to talk, I'm here. But like, I'm going to, I'm not going to I'm just going to pull back if that's what you want. But if I don't hear from you, then I know where I stand. Because it is very common for people who are going through tough times to like not reach out to people and to just kind of ghost. And it doesn't doesn't come from a malicious place, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't like hurt. Like you can be depressed and like I do all the time. I fucking like ghost my friends and I'm like not a great friend.
Or even lash out. I may not want people to reach out to me, but it's what I need.
Exactly. And like, but that doesn't mean what I'm doing is any less hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you're entitled to be like hurt by that. But then we need to have a conversation about that. And if I'm in a really bad space, mental health wise, I'm going to need you to let me know, hey, that really hurt me or something. And then I will apologize to that. But like when someone's really going through it and they're not being present or they're not being there and they're not doing what you're used to expecting from them, they're not, when you start treating your friends half-assed, that is like, you stopped treating yourself well a long fucking time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people just ghost. Some people, they don't want to be friends anymore and they don't really want to communicate about it. And it's just because they don't have like the courage or the strength to do that. And they have zero mental health stuff going on. And then there are people who are having some serious mental health things there. And this is always one of those things that like, I'd rather me find out you actually are not going through anything mental health wise and you just don't want to be friends anymore than me treating it the opposite and then finding out you're going through something and that I just was like, couldn't be bothered because you hurt my feelings. I would always rather that. And you're allowed to be hurt, but sometimes like hurt people. And I also don't think it's good for you if you have been hurt in this relationship to not give her the opportunity to apologize and help you heal said hurt. Yeah. Like both people walk away more miserable. You giving people the opportunity to apologize or not even just explain, but like give context to what's going on or like let you into their life. Like that will help both of you.
Yeah. When I was in college, same age, 22, I had like my first bout of depression and I didn't understand it and I didn't know how to process it. And I did tell a few lies and was pushing people away. And I know that I was being mean and I just needed some space. But like, I still appreciated that people were there, even though they were there. And I felt annoyed, but at the same time, needed them to be there, like even if it was just a text message or something. And so I remember the people that were there for me when I needed it, even if I wasn't talking to them directly, but them just dropping a note, letting me know that they cared. That was enough for me at that time. And then when I was able to speak to them and tell them what I was going through, most of those people I'm still friends with today.
Yeah. And like that perspective, the friends who like stick around through all of that, like Leslie is saying this and then like, some other people, whatever, like those are usually people who are like, I've been through that and I've been that person. And it is not necessarily intuitive to automatically assume someone's going through something mental health wise. And it is pretty easy to assume that like, oh, they don't want to be friends anymore. Like, fuck that. But the people in your life who are telling you like, let's treat this gently, she might be going through something. They know that because they've either been her or they've been on the other side of it before. Mm-hmm. And if you respond with like just callous and like, I don't give a shit, you're also showing those friends like, I don't think that you might be a safe person for me if I'm going through a rough time and I'm not the greatest friend. And also it's going to happen to you at some point. Like even if it's not mental health related, you can be really stressed with work and you snap at a friend or you like don't respond for a while or like something happens. You can have like a family member passing and you're grieving. And if we don't show compassion to people and just give them the opportunity and like a place that feels safe for them to say what they're going through, or even that they're just going through something, it's going to be really hard for you to receive that back when you're inevitably going through something.
Mm-hmm.
So communication is like a great thing and it's a really like mature thing to do. It takes a lot of mental and physical energy to communicate things. And sometimes like she might not be even processing what she's going through herself. Again, I'd rather be wrong about a friend going through a tough time mental health wise. I'd always rather be wrong about that and then have them find out like that. My pride is, I value that so much less than like other people, even people I don't like their mental and physical well-being. My pride is fine. Like I'm right now, you're hurt no matter what. You're going to be hurt as you are right now. You end the friendship, you walk away, you're like, fuck it. You're still hurt. You find out that she's going through mental health stuff. You're still hurt. And you understand that this is what she's going through. And then once this time has passed and she's really worked through this, you can work on mending that friendship. Or you find out that she doesn't want to be friends anymore and you're still hurt. Like, but one of these things is just a lot more compassionate than the other. So, wow, this is what happens. This is why I got to read them ahead of time. So I'm not just telling everyone, like, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
No, sometimes it needs to be done.
I just thought I could have done it next week.
I have a petty one.
Okay, no.
This happened a couple years ago, but I want to know if I am wrong. I live with 4 girls, 19 to 20. My tongue was a little wet there.
Yeah, I need you to stop.
19.
It's going to take you
20,
longer.
She, her. And my roommate, Cammie's birthday was on a Sunday. She had partied the whole weekend before and then texted our roommate group chat and asked if she could have a couple friends over on Sunday night. One roommate was out of town, so my other roommate, Stella, and I responded saying sure, a couple people would be okay, but could they please keep it down after 10:30 p.m. as we had to work and go to school in the morning. Well, Sunday comes and she has a party. 45 people in the apartment, bass blaring, beer pong screaming, the whole 9. Me and my other roommate are locked in our rooms, fuming. Finally, at 12:30, after many angry texts exchanged, it ends and they all go elsewhere. We come out to a disaster. Video and aftermath attached. Find the video.
I'm fine. What do you think I'm fucking doing?
So I decided to take all of the alcohol cans, some empty, some not, and put them into a trash bag and dump the bag out onto her bedroom floor. Photo attached. Am I wrong for gathering and dumping the cans on her floor before she had a chance to come back home and clean?
Okay, here's the cans.
No video?
No, I'm opening it. You've got great eyebrows.
Here's the thing. I'd be pissed the fuck off if this happened. I mean, I had a friend once. We were briefly roommates. It was like a 6 months thing. We were cool roommates all until one day. She brought some friends over and they were being loud as fuck and I had to go to work the next morning. And it was only like 3 people and I was mad about that because she knew I had to go to work. But this having a full party with 45 people, that's a nightmare when you already had told her you only say it was going to be like a few people.
And it was like 10:30.
I will say though,
latest.
For it to be 45 people and based on the video that we saw, it looks like she had started to clean. Like they had started, even though you think that she didn't have a chance or you didn't give her the chance. I think she had started to clean because that wasn't a 45 people, just like terrible party rager thing.
Yeah.
And so there was a Swiffer out that we noticed in the video.
Stuck into a chair.
Yeah. But
I wonder if like the video was done if you had already started cleaning up a bit.
Yeah. But
yeah, there's a lot left there. Glass on a hardwood floor.
Yeah.
This was like, if anyone remembers, a pivotal point in my book. This happened to me in college, except my roommates threw a party, took my keys, threw a party, locked me out, and then wouldn't answer in. So I had to scale a fence to get in. It was like a 12-foot iron fence to get in to the house. And I had like strep like a couple days before and I was on antibiotics and I was so tired.
You had strep?
Ma'am, Like, everyone's like, get your tonsils out. And I'm like, no, that's so much fucking worse. That's so much fucking worse. I have adult-sized tonsils now. I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah.
And then when I finally, like, literally broke in through the door because someone let me in accidentally, people were leaving hookah coals on our carpeted floor, and there was burning holes through the carpet. And the whole thing was, like, fucking trashed. So I understand, like, the absolute, like, fuming feeling, and regardless of the amount that it was, like, clean or whatever it was, I think a Sunday night having a party, even if it's your birthday, like, you have to know that your roommates are doing you a fucking solid, and then you got to abide by everything. And I think if someone is not going through with the common courtesy, I think that your common courtesy is out the window. Like, I think you have full right to, like, literally dump all of that shit in her room. Like, I don't think that you did anything wrong. Wait, so she left? So at 12:30 they all go elsewhere.
So they probably moved the party to a bar or something. I don't think you're right or wrong for moving the stuff. I think she's completely wrong. But, like, as far as you being petty, I think for me, it would be like when she comes home, she's going to have to, like, I wouldn't have cleaned anything unless it was just in my way. And I would make her, when she got home, clean everything. But, like, you moving stuff to her room
kind of makes it easier for her too.
It makes it easier, one, and then it's just extra energy that you have to exert. Unless it just made you feel good. If it made you feel good, okay, but, like, why are you wasting energy moving her stuff?
Yeah, if it was cathartic, you're not wrong. If you were doing it to, like, prove a point, I think that your point is better proved by letting her face the aftermath and just, like, texting her videos and photos of it. And, like, so it's clear, like, I saw what this looks like and, like, I'm not cleaning it up. Unless somehow you bringing it into her room made it harder for you, yet was somehow easy for you.
Yeah, like if you needed to eat something and it was all over the oven, everything was all over the oven, and you just scooped all this stuff into a bag and then carried it to her room and then dumped it on the floor and then you cooked, like, cool. But if you, like, really just went through and just picked stuff up and moved it to her room, waste of energy.
I don't think you're wrong. If it makes you happy.
You can I don't have a conclusion.
Oh my gosh, look at you. Indifferent?
Mm-hmm.
You're splitting the line? You're straddling the line? You're riding the line? You're grinding the line? Wow.
Only for Patreon.
What's Joe Biden's plan for Melissa grinding the line?
Now let's take a break.
Woo!
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to, like, speak of them or talk about them or in any way, like, portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
We're back. It is time for But Are They Wrong?, where we nominate the absolute worst of the week. So I would like to nominate, this is a swimsuit, an Australian swimsuit designer, but she did this herself on TikTok. So I'll be referencing her TikTok account. So the account is Sky Yolanda Swim, and it's Yolanda Swim. So this is an Australian woman who, her bio, as she says, home of the contouring bikinis. And she had one of, like, the most embarrassing, like, worst fat phobic takes I've ever seen. And instead of just taking the video down, she proceeded to like make a series essentially about this and then remove one that was like, oh, this was too offensive. But so she did this. The video that I started seeing this from was from Dana Patterson, like I said, my TikTok friend, who stitched a video where, and this video is like since deleted, that the creator said, if I hear one more woman who's like a size 18 or higher asking me to make plus size bikinis, and that's, the video's been scrubbed, so I haven't seen the rest of the full one. But she goes on to respond to a comment on said video that is no longer up, which then sparked a video that is still up, which again is mind-blowing. She starts a video like, you know, you can hear, if you're not watching the video, you can hear like with like the teeth together, like yikes kind of face, her pouring red wine into a wine glass. And with the sparkle emojis, the title is, "This is why I stopped stocking plus sizes." And the comment she's responding to is someone said, "I don't think this lands the way you hoped it would. Your website only has size large for quote unquote larger bust category. And that's the only thing you have in a size large. Wild." And she goes on to say that she's a small business, victimizing herself for this, and that plus size people don't wear skimpy bikinis, and they don't wear bikinis because they're not comfortable wearing bikinis because they're plus sized. And then she says that like, we just don't sell any, like we're not making a profit. We're losing money by carrying plus sizes. Like we're not making money. Our biggest selling things are, you know, size small and extra small. So like, why would I make money for something that I'm not, like, why would I make more something I'm not making money on? She is yet to address the fact that it would be impossible for her to make money on making plus size bathing suits when she doesn't make plus size bathing suits. Mm-hmm. So of course your target demographic and your audience is wearing size small and extra small because that's the size you carry. Plus size, no one's gonna buy a size that doesn't exist.
Right.
Like you're like, it's just like the most, like this most stupid argument. And the whole thing, she's like making jokes in between and just being like blah 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 blah. And then people like are seeing other videos of her that she's posted where someone had commented, she like keeps referring to herself as mid-size, which there has been like a trend in specifically white women deeming themselves mid-size because they don't view themselves as thin and they don't view themselves as fat, that they are a mid-size. Mid-size like legitimately means it is, you can wear the largest size in straight size and you can wear the smallest size in plus size, or you can't wear either and you're in the middle. Like that's what mid-size means. She's not mid-size, she fits in straight sizing. Mid-size and straight size, that's not, you're not that. And someone had commented and said, since when is this considered mid-size? And then she goes, oh my God, like you think I'm skinny? Like, thank you. And just keeps reinforcing skinny. And then she goes, if you think bikinis make you look fat, this is why. My bikini will make you look so skinny. And just keeps being like, you don't want to look fat in this. And like, I always feel fat. But like, oh my God, like skinny. This is like so great. And she keeps doubling down. Did a 3-part quote unquote apology series, which was like, I messed up, which is always starting with like little like like quick quirky little like Emma Chamberlain wannabe edits, and it's like very downplaying all of it. And then she is in the comment section arguing with people about like, there's nothing wrong with valuing being skinny and wanting to be skinny. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not fat phobic. Like I'm not fat phobic at all. And anytime any plus size creator, anyone is like reaching out and being like, this is like not it. She's like, well, you can DM me. Like, let's not talk about it here. Like, does not want anyone. And then people are like, I would love if you made this in an extra large. And she goes, I can custom make one if you want me to. It's like, just carry them. And she won't hire plus size models because plus size models are currently, as she says, trendy. So they're charging more money than skinny girls. And so it's too expensive to hire plus size models. So even though she carries like a large, which by the way, Australian conversions, she says that she also, the worst part I didn't even start with, she markets this as an inclusive bathing suit collection, a bathing suit brand that is inclusive. And she goes, well, we are plus size. We go all the way up to like, I don't know, extra large. Maybe she says they go up to 3X, but they don't. But the largest size that the equivalent that they carry is a US 12. And they only have that in like one thing. That's it. And it's just like absolutely baffling. And so she does this like faux apology and then is just doubling down and fighting with people in these comments and then being like, well, you know, like people always say that like if you're not going to be able to like do plus size like well and inclusive, like you just like shouldn't do it. And I just like, maybe that's not my space. Like, and I'm like, oh, now suddenly you're a thin person. You're not, but you've been advertising yourself as like, oh my gosh, like you feel so fat. You feel so fat. Like I'm going to show you how to be skinny. Like I am like the guru of all of this. And like I'm mid-size. I'm not like those other skinny girls. But now you're like, I wouldn't know. I don't want to step on anybody's toes here. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like,
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck
also,
up.
no one support her in any type of way.
And then she had the audacity to then just totally out of the blue repost a plus size creator who did a video of them wearing her swimsuits in like April. Cause you know, there's literally no content with people in bigger bodies wearing her swimsuits on her Instagram, on her website, like the models, even on the social platforms. So they have one they found, and she's doing this being like, oh my gosh, she was like so sweet. She like loved all of our stuff. And everyone's commenting being like, I'm glad that she really likes these bathing suits. She doesn't have a relatable or attainable or pretty like an average sized, like quote unquote plus size body. Like she's a model. She's very proportionate. And these swimsuits don't fit her in a way that universally people would be like, yeah, that fits me. Like she likes the under boob look. She likes a lot of this. That's totally fine. She's making them work for her. Unless you're into that look, like the swimsuits don't look the same as they do on people with smaller bodies because they're not intended to be these like ridiculously skimpy things. It's literally like you couldn't even tell me that there are different sizes, that you just threw that on someone else. And her entire thing is just like so fucked and just like super, super, super fat phobic. And I absolutely hate it and do not support her swim line and her obsession with being skinny and then preying on her audience and finding people who are also dealing with like body image issues and fat phobia, whether it's outward fat phobia, internalized fat phobia, and then reinforcing all of that shit with a shiny capitalism bow on it. Under the guise of like, support a small business. No thanks.
Bye. What's her name again?
Yolanda Swim.
All right. Here's mine. First, I just want to say fuck Kanye West. All right. He's always a Rachel of the Week.
Oh, yeah. For week, month, year.
This week, I'm nominating the states of Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Carolina. Well, they have argued that the president acted beyond his authority and alleged that they could be hurt financially by the mass forgiveness of student loan debt. So they're trying to derail the debt relief plan, and which is, in case you don't know, if you have any federal student loans, then you can get between $10,000 to $20,000 just wiped clean.
I should check to see if I still have any.
You should. Like you can fill out the little form. It takes less than 5 minutes. Like it's nothing. Like I filled it out and it's nothing. All it asks for is your name, your address, and your social security number. The administration's hope of erasing millions of borrowers' debt. And so the plaintiffs, those states, they claim that they'll suffer irreparable injury from the provision of much needed relief of millions of Americans, but the public interest would be greatly harmed by its denial. The Biden administration said that in its court's findings, if the court disagrees, any injunction should be narrowly tailored to the plaintiff states. So basically, these states are saying that they're going to lose money, I guess.
Have they said how?
No, there's no, they have a bunch of mumbo jumbo about them losing money, but debt in the United States is a joke. It's not real.
Also, if people have less debt, they can spend more money in your state.
Yeah, but exactly. But the deficit is not real. None of it is real. So in 1 week, 22 million people applied to get this. That was just in the first week that it was available for you to apply to it. And the Republicans' response was to sue the federal government and block the relief. And it's basically the real reason they're doing this is because they don't want, as we go into the new election cycle, they don't want another one of Biden's things that he promised to do. He did not to get into the nitty gritty, he did promise to wipe all of it. But this is how much he was able to get past it, was to get 10 to 20,000, depending on what kind of loans you have. And so they just don't want him to have another win.
They don't want him to do anything that benefits the masses, because the whole thing with the Republican Party is like, this is going to help us, but not even really help us. We want to hurt these other people that we don't like. And when he does something that helps everyone universally, that starts to unravel this like thing that they've created, and this like monster and hysteria that they've created that they count on votes for.
Yeah. And then it was like a slap in the face kind of to the Republicans, because Associate Justice Amy Coney Barrett last week denied, she actually did something decent.
I still hate her.
I do too, but she denied a request to hear a case from Wisconsin from a group without explanation or consulting the full court. It's unclear how the full court, which now has a conservative majority, would rule. The challenges of the president's plan have largely brought by right-leaning organizations or state. So a Republican justice didn't let them come with their bullshit. But
yeah, that's how you know that they're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same ones for the insurrection, where they're like, we've girl bossed a little too close to the sun. I'm gonna need us to dial it back 3 notches.
Yeah. Arkansas, my home state, Iowa, Kansas, another state I've lived in, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Carolina are all my nominations.
I wonder how much money they like lose, and if they should have tried to like, start petitioning to not give full rided scholarships to all of their athletes, which bring in so much money for all of their sporting events. I wonder how much money they could be getting there if those people had actually had student loans. They don't actually care.
True.
They're losing so much more money that way. So much more money. Especially in some of those big schools. If you're a D1 school, very, very unlikely any of your athletes are there paying out of pocket in full. Or even with like paying for most of it.
Yep.
You have to be enticing. So,
but like school is expensive for no reason.
Exactly. But it's like, well, one of these things makes us money, and so therefore, like, we actually don't care. But this, it's like, well, no. You should only be cutting a deal if we actually make more money off of it.
Just go away.
Absolute bullshit.
I hope it's not looking good, but I hope Arkansas doesn't put Sarah Huckabee Sanders into the office of governor.
I fucking hope that as well. That is our episode. We hope you all enjoyed. If you're still listening, go comment something on our Instagram. Go write on the Instagram, Melissa's high. Or dare, Melissa. Dare.
Oh, I have an update.
Oh, great.
All right. So here's an update. Hi again, Eminem. I just listened to the episode where you read the results to my peed on the dorm floor situation.
Thank God.
And I wanted to clarify some things for you / everyone. Side note, I thought you guys did a really great job speaking about this situation. Everything you said was fair, but also compassionate, and I really appreciate it. This is a situation that I get too embarrassed telling people in my real life about. So it was nice to hear both your reactions, because before that, it felt like a secret. To clarify, in this situation, I was in my robe. I have adult diapers, but because my pain / symptoms are very on and off, I'm honestly not always as prepared as I should be. I was rushing to the bathroom, so I put on the bathrobe, but it was being used, and I just kind of peed on the floor in my robe.
Oh, in your room?
No, robe.
Oh. So you and I were right. Mm-hmm. So actually, I thought she pulled her pants down and peed. And other people were like, no, of course she peed in her pants. But we didn't think about third option. She wasn't wearing pants.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't take your pants off, which I think would have been rude.
Right.
That would have been more rude. But
If you just stood and let it just like trickle out.
Yeah. I think this is on equal level. Honestly, I think peeing in your pants is a little bit of a high. Like, if I'm not wearing pants, my bladder control is half. Like, if I'm not wearing pants and I have to pee, like, I have to pee fucking quick, like, way quicker than if I'm wearing pants. So I understand that rush more. But that's also just me.
Like the Mount?
Uh-huh.
You get it?
The Mount Rushmore?
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe that's real.
Yeah, it's real dope.
Real dope?
Dumb.
Oh, I was like, where's the bit going? Because I was like, there's no way. Except, wasn't there a plot point in National Treasure?
I'm sure.
So here's the thing. I don't need it to exist for real. Use it as a plot device. Tear it down. I've never seen it. I don't know what it looks like. All I need to see it in National Treasure.
It's so
stupid.
As in so many things in America, it is built into native land, a sacred part of native land.
It's like the biggest fuck you. It's not even like, oh, we just built a building. Like, we're going to carve some like old white dudes' faces poorly. Like, we're going to like attempt to carve it into Little Rock. What? Like, that's so cringe. That's so embarrassing. Like, that's just so...
It's embarrassing for people that go take vacations to see it, too.
No. Hate it. Anyways, thank you for the update. And that's it for our episode. Get excited tomorrow. Hear the results from last week's episode in Fisting Friday.
Fisting. All right. We'll circle back
next week. Goodbye, fuckers. But Am I Wrong is a production by me, Meghan Rinks.
And me, Melisa DeMonts, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
And production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, are you ready for some real talk and some fantastic laughs? Join me, Meghan Rinks.
And me, Melisa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
We're serving up 4 hilarious shows every week designed to entertain and engage and, possibly enrage you.
In Don't Blame Me, we dive deep into listeners' questions, offering advice that's funny, relatable, and real.
Whether you're dealing with relationship drama or you just need a friend's perspective, we've got you.
Then switch gears with But Am I Wrong, which is for listeners who didn't take our advice and want to know if they are the villains in the situation.
Plus, we share our hot takes on current events and present situations that we might even be wrong in our lives. Spoiler alert, we are actually quite literally never wrong.
But wait, there's more. Check out See You Next Tuesday, where we reveal the juicy results from our listener polls from But Am I Wrong?
And don't miss Fisting Friday, where we catch up, chat about pop culture, TV, and movies. It's the perfect way to kick off your weekend.
So if you're looking for a podcast that feels like a chat with your besties, listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.